You're watching Hush Pop Media, your daily dose of celebrity buzz, breaking rumors, and everything Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Let's pop the hush and spill the tea.
So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo-Nazis. But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience to The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last.
Imagine this. A popular daytime talk show, a confident host, and a crowd of students suddenly caught in drama. It started when The View, yes, that show, went after Turning Point USA, a conservative student group. But they didn't just talk about the group. They took a shot at more than 5,000 young people. These were teens, high schoolers, and college students from all over the country. They paid their own way to be there, just to listen to talks about politics and personal values.
Kirk took issue with this depiction of his organization. Kirk maintains that Turning Point USA is not affiliated with anti-Semitism or white supremacist. In a strongly worded tweet, the 28-year-old stated, "Talking to lawyers, many think we have a strong case. You cannot smear minors as and get away with it. It impacts them for the rest of their life. Hashtag sue the View." That's when TPUSA went all in. The organization changed its profile pic on Twitter to hashtag sue the View, posted a number of tweets condemning The View and demanding an apology.
Then came the moment that set everything off. During the show, The View hinted that the students could be linked to neo-Nazis. That wasn't just reckless, it was dangerous. Charlie Kirk, the leader of Turning Point USA, didn't ignore it. He wasn't just mad, he was furious that thousands of young people, most under 21, were being smeared on live TV. "These students now carry a public lie," he said, because someone at ABC spoke without thinking. He didn't want revenge for himself. He wanted it for the students who trusted him. Oh, and before we go on, click that like and subscribe button if you want more stories like this. Anyway, Sunny Hostin wasn't done. She went further. On the show, she insulted uneducated white women, claiming many Trump-supporting women didn't have college degrees. Her attitude? Arrogant. She acted like no diploma meant no brains. Viewers weren't just upset, they were hurt. Because not having a degree doesn't mean you're stupid.
Something else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money, and your students definitely could too.
If The View was running out of ideas, maybe they should have called the lawyer from the Covington Catholic case. You know, the guy who got that $200 million settlement. Charlie and his students might need someone like that. When you sit in a fancy studio on a major network and call working class people uneducated, it doesn't sound brave. It sounds snobby. That was all Kirk needed. He used it as proof of what he calls elite hypocrisy. A law school grad on national TV mocking Americans who chose a different path. Many of them work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and, most importantly, vote. If you were watching from home, it didn't feel like a fair discussion. It felt like someone saying your opinion doesn't count because you didn't take out loans for college. That moment shifted the mood. And it only got more intense. But here's the twist. Kirk never even showed up on The View. No surprise. Guest moment, no big shouting match. Instead, he fought back from afar, with real fire. The video? Pro stuff. This wasn't shot on someone's phone. It was clean, serious, and dramatic.
We begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside.
It didn't feel like a calm reply. It felt like a political ad mixed with a fight in the street. Every second of the video was designed to embarrass Sunny Hostin. Kirk didn't just respond to her opinions. He burned them down, packed up the ashes, and gave it to the internet to spread. And the timing? Perfect. Just a few hours after the episode aired, Kirk's video was already blowing up online. Twitter lit up. YouTube filled with reactions. TikTok made short clips out of it like punchy knockouts. While Sunny was still in the studio lights, Kirk had already taken control from a different city. This was online combat, and Kirk knew what he was doing. He didn't win with calm arguments. He won with fast editing and internet-style drama. And the worst part for The View? He made it seem like she lost, without even showing up.
Conference, were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and the I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against these, because against the Nazi flags that.
This wasn't really about who had stronger points. It was about who looked like they were in charge. And when Kirk's video hit social media, Sunny Hostin suddenly didn't look like the calm expert people are used to. Her body movements changed. Her voice lost its steady tone. Her smile didn't look natural. And people noticed, in a bad way. The internet doesn't stop to check facts or hear the full story. It only cares how someone looks under pressure. And Sunny looked shaken. Not screaming, not crying, but clearly falling apart. It wasn't over-the-top drama. It was quiet and awkward. That kind of moment where someone tries to stay cool, but their face and voice give them away. Her eyes kept jumping to the teleprompter like it was a way out. Her tone got shaky. Her whole vibe said, "How did this go so wrong?" Online, people stopped caring about the actual argument. They were sharing clips of her blinking a lot, moving nervously, losing her cool. The politics didn't matter anymore. How it looked mattered more, and it looked like she got crushed.
On Monday, we talked about the fact that there were openly demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies, and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo-Nazis from the area but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these.
Charlie Kirk didn't just push back on her argument. He broke her whole on-air image. And when someone like Sunny, who's used to cameras, is smooth and trained, starts to lose control live, the internet eats that up. But this wasn't just a bad media moment. After The View said Turning Point students were tied to neo-Nazis, the group didn't just get mad, they brought lawyers. A cease and desist letter showed up at ABC. This wasn't a light threat. It was a serious legal move. The message was clear. You can't just insult 5,000 students on TV and walk away like it's nothing. And what made it worse was knowing how hard these students worked to be there. Plane rides aren't cheap. Gas costs were sky high.
Over the weekend, Turning Point USA hosted a riveting event in Tampa, Florida called the Student Action Summit. Outside of the event were individuals waving flags and engaged in other activities. Well, on Monday's show, members of The View made a few comments about it.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit. Welcome back. In Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me, and it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, the state, the U.S.
But they still showed up. High school and college students from all over the U.S. Not to protest, not to wave signs, but to listen to speakers and learn. No hate groups, no chaos. Just excited young people trying to take part in politics. Instead of being praised for caring, they got attacked, treated like they were part of a group that wasn't even inside the event. Kirk quickly cleared things up. Turning Point never invited those extremists. In fact, they tried to get them kicked out, but the protesters were on public land. Still, that didn't stop The View from grouping everyone together, and that false story stuck. Kirk didn't hold back. He called it what it was, an intentional smear job.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach.
If anyone thought the media could throw around false claims without consequences, they were about to find out otherwise. Sunny Hostin wasn't caught off guard. No surprise guests, no dramatic showdown. Just her, the camera, and Charlie Kirk's viral video blowing up the internet. He didn't yell. He didn't even appear. His video was sharp, clean, and hit hard. More than any face-to-face argument could. While The View stuck to its usual style, panel talk, rehearse jokes, move. On, Kirk went all in. He slammed her ideas like an overdue bill, mocked her high society attitude, and tore apart her views like he had a score to settle. He turned her into a symbol, out of touch, too educated, and clueless about everyday people.
Achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that's fine, I guess.
This wasn't just some online response. It was a victory party for people fed up with elites. Sunny wasn't seen as a serious speaker anymore. She became a stand-in for everything critics love to mock. Snobby media types, know-it-all experts, and people who look down on the working class. The video went viral, spreading fast everywhere. YouTube channels jumped on it. People didn't just view it, they ate it up. And Sunny? She couldn't really fight back. Because once the internet makes you a meme, you stop being a person. You turn into a joke. Headlines popped up. Charlie Kirk destroys daytime TV. Sunny smashed by facts. Every little blink, fake grin, and awkward look got slowed down, edited, and shared. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube. They made her pain into entertainment. And back at The View, things got quiet. Conversations slowed. Even the audience wasn't sure. Should we cheer or just sit in silence?
I'll say is this, is Sunny, do you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue? I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter.
You could feel it, even through the screen. The always confident Sunny Hostin looked rattled. No full breakdown, no shouting, but she was clearly coming apart on live TV. Her size, stiff body, and shaky voice. It wasn't loud, but it was noticeable. And Kirk? He was nowhere on set. Most likely, he was behind his computer, watching his videos spread like wildfire online. His second video came out a few days later, even more intense. Flashy visuals, dramatic music, close-ups of Sunny's face. It looked like a campaign attack ad. The point? These polished liberal hosts on daytime shows don't speak for normal Americans. The video didn't just trend, it became internet gold. TikTokers added sad music. YouTubers filmed reactions. Gen Z made dances using her expressions. Every blink became content. And the twist? Sunny never screamed, never left the set. But her silence, uncomfortable, raw, and very real, was the kind of moment the internet loves to tear apart.